Let's talk about this first really creepy story. It's a really, really creepy story because we have a bunch of different outlets that have reported this. Did agents raid the home of a wrong woman over a January 6th riot? Maybe. That's the creepiest thing about it, the maybe. This story from The Hour isn't the only outlet that said maybe they did. A bunch of other outlets did. I think even the AP was like they might have. But if you go to Anchorage Daily News, apparently one of the only outlets that actually looked into this story, they have a photograph of the woman during the January 6th rally in which Trump was speaking in D.C. and a photo of the woman the FBI was actually looking for. Here's a funny thing. Okay, so maybe they're of similar age and their hair is kind of similar. The woman whose home was raided as they were looking for Nancy Pelosi's laptop was wearing a gray scarf and I guess some kind of like low cut or V or open neck shirt. And the woman they were actually looking for has big hoop earrings and is not wearing a gray scarf and has some kind of, I don't know, weird flower pattern shirt. Clearly not the same person. So how is it that the FBI hasn't been able to figure out who stole the laptop? They haven't been able to figure out who was planting pipe bombs. What are they doing? I guess tracking down bumbling dotards who walked in confused. So here's where it gets really crazy. Apparently in this court filing, they mentioned that it was an Alaska Airlines employee who got into an altercation with these people because they weren't wearing masks. They got banned. And then I guess this is where it gets weird. Someone from Alaska Airlines looked up this woman's social media account, saw a post a few days later about being in D.C. on January 6th, not in the Capitol, mind you, just not in the Capitol building, just there because Trump was rallying, then called the FBI and tipped them off. And that was grounds for the FBI to go to Homer, Alaska and break this woman's door in and then go and search for a laptop. All right. Did they find it? Of course they didn't because this was the wrong woman. And now all these outlets are saying like, maybe it was the wrong woman. Okay. You know what? Fine. Let's play the maybe game. Maybe this woman shows up in DC to hear Trump speak. And then everybody decides to go into the Capitol. So she takes off her jacket, takes off her scarf, throws it away, puts on a totally different shirt, attaches new earrings all within the span of, a couple hours, I guess, while people were outside marching around. I just find the whole thing just ridiculous. And, I don't know, man. It makes me a bit pessimistic because it feels like the DOJ at this point has become completely politicized. And I'll tell you, this is going to sound totally unrelated, but it really freaked me out. We grilled today. We made burgers. They were delicious. They were local farm burgers. Apparently, the local farms were telling us that, or so we were told by local farmers, the FDA has put restrictions on their ability to sell beef until recently. And I'm like, I didn't hear that. How come that's not in the news? How come these stories aren't in the news? It really does feel like a whole bunch of weird and wacky stuff is happening, right? You've got something going on with this Arizona audit of the election. The FBI flying to some woman's home in Alaska, desperate to find a laptop. They can't figure out where it is. We've got weird stuff with the dollar. I don't know, man. It all seems unrelated, but it's all, to me, it's indicative of like a rot in the foundation of the system.
Yeah, when you say weird things with the dollar, like it's terrifying, explosive inflation that's like devastating the economy, and that's not being talked about. So I'm not overly shocked that other weird stuff is going on too.
It just feels like it's breaking apart, dude.
Let's ring the alarms. The FBI can kick your door down if they think you're someone, even if you just kind of look like somebody. Was that where we're at? I'm
not surprised that they could do this. They can get a warrant from a judge and then go do it. It's just, I'm just at this point where watching all this news every day. I mean, we were sitting here before we pulled up the story, and I'm just like, I don't even care. I don't even know what's going on anymore, dude. It's like I can tell you a million and one things, but I can tell you one thing is that Antifa goes and throws rocks through windows and bashes skulls. Whatever happened to that old man in Kenosha got his head bashed in by some Antifa? Nobody get arrested for that? Nothing happened? Oh, but some lady gets her door kicked in.
It's the
I see that. I see Chauvin. I see these cases. I see the juror lying, and I'm just like, who has confidence in the U.S. government at this point?
Aspects of it. What were you going to say?
I mean, how do you decide what to pay attention to? Do you feel like you're feeding, because we are engineering, consciousness by what we're covering, what we're talking about. And so, but you need to go towards the rot, but you kind of need to balance that out. So,
I mean, I'm reading the general news, right? So when I look at news stories, I'm looking at like all of these different stories, and I'm ignoring a lot of things. I think things I don't care about. So I don't know, stories about celebrity gossip and a lot of stories about like some Instagram model wore a bikini to the beach, and then it's like front page news and a bunch of outlets. Yeah, it gets clicks. I get it. When it comes to cultural issues, political issues, I'm trying to see what is going on and what matters most and what's having a big impact. But admittedly, I'm only able to look at what journalists are for the most part already doing. Now we are going to be launching a newsroom soon, and we'll have a lot of we're going to start doing our own original reporting. But that's why I was saying it's like I brought up the beef thing. It's seemingly unrelated, but I think it's a really good example of people not realizing that I think we're being distracted by a lot of this stuff. And what I mean is this FBI thing is scary. It's creepy. An Alaska Airlines employee sending in a tip to the FBI about a woman because of a mask altercation. That's just like really creepy like stuff. Like, what was she doing? Pulling up this woman's Instagram because she was mad at her or something like that? It's weird. And then the FBI goes and goes to her house and kicks the door and looking for Nancy Pelosi's laptop. This is like out of a bad action movie. So this is some of the biggest news that you hear the mainstream media talking about. What's going on with January 6th? Oh, they raided this woman's home, and it was like 1984 level snitch on your neighbor stuff, which is just very strange. But then I hear this. I hear this today when we're like, hey, let's grab burgers and we'll grill and have some burgers. They were delicious, by the way, local beef. And then apparently the farmers are like, oh yeah, we weren't allowed to actually sell any of this for a while. The FDA wouldn't let us. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like raw milk. I mean, just
no, but it's something to do with the lockdowns.
Sometimes
it was the lockdowns. It was COVID. And so what I'm saying is we do have these really creepy, weirdo stories in the mainstream media. And it's really frustrating, actually, when you hear like the juror in the Chauvin trial. Not only did he lie about the protest, he lied about his shirt. He's wearing the George Floyd shirt. And he's like, oh, I don't remember wearing that. And there's a video of him wearing it from a different time, from like months earlier or like months later or something like that. And so we see all this stuff, and that's like where the focus is when it comes to politics. But we're not paying attention to is regulatory stuff. What's going on? Have you noticed there's a huge shortage of a ton of different goods? First of all, lumber is already expensive. Steel's expensive. Food is skyrocketing, but it's not just that. Yeah, bacon's going up.
We couldn't find it.
You couldn't find bacon?
Yeah, we went to Costco the other day and we couldn't find any bacon. And we're like, what's
That's
going
it.
on?
Okay.
We're in trouble.
It's
That's
all
when
over.
things get real is when you
Now.
can't find the stuff.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I did. I ordered a bunch of bacon. I put it in our deep freezer.
There you
Smart.
go.
Yeah, because, you know, when the apocalypse comes, what they say, in the land of a broken economy, the man with bacon is king.
I could see a pig here, to be honest.
A pig?
I really could.
No,
I love a
Great, they're
pig.
smart.
They're like dogs, kind of.
Yeah,
You'll get-
nice.
Ian will
Smart.
get way too attached.
Dude,
Oh,
you'd be my best
yeah.
friend.
Yeah, just
pig?
get a pig and don't kill it.
Okay, we'll just keep it around. It'll be good.
No, it's weird stuff that people aren't paying attention to. I tried buying cat food. Couldn't do it.
Well, why?
It took like a month and a half, 2 months to get cat food.
Wow.
Yeah, so we ended up getting this cat food that Bucko doesn't like.
Aw.
This reminds me of if we were living on the Titanic, and this is the part of the movie where they're like, this is when everyone should be getting on lifeboats, but we don't have enough lifeboats, so don't freak everybody out because there'll be a mad dash and people will smash and kill you. So they're not telling us to get on the lifeboats.
I've got huge news.
Oh, what?
Do you guys remember when Crowder sent me that gun?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell everybody the story of what happened with Crowder sending me this gun. Actually, yeah, let me. I'll get into the story, but let me just say a few things. I got too excited there, and I'll just say I got to lead into it better than that instead of just going like, "Oh, that's
good, though.
Very exciting.
I'm really excited. Okay, hold
love
on.
it.
Ian's right. So I got concerned about the riots in when we were in the Philly area because this is the craziest thing about New Jersey. I've talked about it before. It's a duty to retreat, even from your own home. Like, seriously, if you are in your house in New Jersey, they say it's a partial castle doctrine state. And so I'm like, okay, what does that mean? It means if someone breaks into your home and you can escape, you have to leave your house. And I'm like, but go where? And it's only if it's completely safe. And so then you got to argue to a court why it was like it was a totally safe, or I'm sorry, it has to be like, in order to be totally safe, you have to leave. If there's some risk to you by doing it, then they could argue that you should have stayed in your home or whatever. But if you can safely leave your home, you have to. So I'm like, I don't want to be in this stuff. I remember going to the stores and seeing all the shortages and everything, and then thinking like, man, should we be preppers? Because it's funny, people like to make fun of the preppers, but the preppers don't care. I don't know if you guys have seen like prepper videos recently. Mm-mm. Yeah, they don't care what the media says about them. They're just like, whatever, I don't care. You know, I got a bunch of toilet paper while you guys are fighting over
Yeah,
it.
they're living a great life growing food. I mean, why? And preparing,
growing
and
food,
just-
living on farms, and I don't know if they think the world's going to end tomorrow, but hey, man, the dollar is in pretty bad shape. But let me tell you now. Let me now that I've built the suspense up a little bit enough to talk about this Crowder thing. I got a big update on that gun that Crowder was supposed to send me. So this is like over a year ago. I think it was over a year ago.
Yeah, it was.
I went on Louder with Crowder, and I don't think I had a gun at this point. I was like doing the paperwork to get one, and so Steven was like, "Tim, buddy, we're getting you a gun." And he's like, "We're going to send you the SIG M400. You know, it's the Cadillac of guns." And I'm like, "Awesome, dude. Thank you so much." And then everybody wanted to know what happened to it. And just no one ever heard about it. I've never talked about it. I've never showed it. There's no Instagram photos. Just never happened. Well, here's what happened. There apparently was only one gun shop in New Jersey that could do the modifications to make it New Jersey legal because New Jersey is a horrible state for firearms. And so Crowder's team ended up sending it to the one shop that could take it. The only problem, it was about 70 miles away from where we were. And that would mean driving for about an hour and a half in the middle of a day where I'm working mornings and nights and on weekends, and I couldn't do it. I'd have to drive up there, fill out the NICS background check form, drive back home, wait 3 to 5 days because I was on a delay list, then drive back and do it again. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I got a company to run. I got shows to do. There's no point in the day which I could leave and go do this. So I told Crowder, I was like, look, it got sent to a shop that's too far away from me. I can't go get it. Well, I got a phone call today. And this shop calls me and they're like, it's been, we're cleaning out the storage room. It's been about a year. And we found this gun and it's for you. That I got a voicemail. I didn't listen to it until afterwards, but I get the missed call and I call and they're like, yeah, we're cleaning out the shop and we realized we had this gun sitting here for almost a year. Do you still want it? And I was like, wow, I do want it. Can you send it to my FFL? And they were like, sure thing. So I'm finally getting it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I checked the voicemail and it was like this woman and she was like, if it's been sitting here for a year and we're supposed to charge you $5 a day for how long it's been sitting here, but whatever, if you don't want it, then we're going to start charging you now, but call us back. And I was like, sure. And I called him back. And the problem was when we were in New Jersey, they had to do a bunch of modifications to it. And I was like, I can't pick this up. And then, I guess they theoretically could have modified it or then shipped it out or whatever, but it just fell off. So it's gonna be coming
surprised
out
they
here.
didn't say we can't ship it for some stupid reason.
No, they were totally cool.
Yeah.
Shout out. They were really cool. And they were like, no, we got you, man. Don't worry about it. And so I guess the issue was when we were there, it needed to be modified for New Jersey, which was going to cost money. And then, but now we're not. Now we're essentially between like Maryland and West Virginia. And so
What was the modification?
Oh, dude, New Jersey's got like crazy rules about what you can or can't have on a gun.
It's just so arbitrary.
It's like
so minimal.
They have to make it so that when you pull the trigger, a flag comes out it's red and says "bang" on it.
Oh,
otherwise it's
Oh,
not
okay,
legal.
yeah, that's New
it's the
Jersey.
only legal way to get a gun.
That makes more sense
So-
in New Jersey.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So we're getting it, and anyway, I got all excited because
Unmodified? Fully
yeah,
unmodified?
fully unmodified.
Nice.
It's gonna be like as the SIG M400 comes.
Looking forward to seeing this thing. I've never even seen a picture of it.
Yeah, supposedly it's a cool gun.
Looks like a gun, I think.
It was supposed to be my first, I guess, and now it's gonna be like my 30th. So
I want to circle back, as Jen Psaki would say, to this metaphor earlier I was talking about us looking for lifeboats, like how the government's kind of distracting us, or how we're being distracted by the media when it's time to get in the lifeboats.
yes, we're being distracted, but I want to clarify my point. I'm not necessarily saying it was intentionally misleading us.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe
I
it's
think
not.
everybody is hyper focused on the same thing, and we're all staring off to our left, and meanwhile on the right, like there's a volcano erupting.
I have so many things to say about it. I want to read this Nietzsche quote. This is when Nietzsche was talking about the abyss. He said, "Beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. For when you gaze long into the abyss gazes also into you."
Yes.
Mm.
And that's a big part of, the weight of being a journalist and doing things like what we're doing is we cover dirty, nasty, painful things to hear about and to think about. And it can make you angry. It can make you edgy and lose focus on how to fix situations. When you're surrounded by problems all the time.
Yeah.
So-
Sorry. Go ahead. Go.
No,
Finish your
continue.
thought. Okay. I was just gonna say that Michael Tracy just tweeted something about an article about journalists who are freaking out and breaking down constantly and crying, and I was like, that's because they steeped themselves in the anti-Trump bubble, and they were just stewing in it, all this TDS all the time, and it like broke their brains. And there's a journalist who commented, her name's like Katie or something, and she's like, my brain broke during the Trump election. I was like, dude, whose fault is that? Like, no one is making you dive into this stuff and just swim around in this cesspool of horrible thoughts about Donald Trump all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So you're right about that.
Can you imagine the nightmares these people were having?
Ugh.
Dude.
I'd pay to see one of their nightmares.
Well, soon you'll be able to if this neural net thing
Yeah, that's
is
right.
Yeah,
real.
yeah. There's a neural net thing that can like decode brain images, like what you're seeing, and then it transcodes it to like a visual, approximation. I'm just imagining, these people all day, every day, just they were talking about after Trump got banned, they were celebrating, and a bunch of people like conservatives were like, "That's crazy." They would celebrate the censorship of a sitting president. You got to understand, these people. We're talking about how they would wake up in the morning and then their phone would they would have a shortcut to pull up Donald Trump's Twitter to read what he was saying all day, every day. It's all they ever did because their companies wanted them to do it. They're like, we got to write about what Trump is doing because Trump makes us money. I used to imagine these people having we talked about this the other day, Brian Stelter having a nightmare where he's like in an old rickety house. And then he's like, it's like there's like lightning strikes and then there's Trump. You can see him flashing and then he's like, ah! And then when he runs out the back door, it actually just transports him back into the front door and he's trapped in this house and there's Trump in the shadows. These people were trapped in a Trump vortex.
They became the demon ultimately. When
Yeah.
when a problem, when all you focus on is the problem, it's you can't live without it anymore. Like that becomes part of your identity. It seems like that's what's happened and possibly is happening to people right now.
Right. So I think it's both the it's causing and a cause of the crisis, the culture war. So the more the crisis escalates in terms of the FBI raiding someone's home or Antifa setting buildings on fire, the more you will get, say, MSNBC lying about riots, and then in turn, conservatives saying the media is lying, they're fake news. And so it's just a spiral that's spinning faster and faster and faster with everyone trapped inside. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.